person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street, they hawk. Still them talk, say, make we no talk. But thank God, say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, man of the... Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ará yìí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Bó bá ṣe eré, àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré, wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. It is Mayegun Live.
Kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun, Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ ṣẹ́ o, kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé.
Yes.
Mayegun ti dé.
Thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are watching from.
Ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé.
Read the caption of this broadcast, the description of the broadcast, and please share the broadcast.
Lórí YouTube. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Ọba bá gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé.
Apologies for the late start again.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì.
But I promise to make it up to all of us tonight.
Ìdó bá rúfin o. Mayegun.
Like the broadcast as well. That is your offering.
Ìgòmìnà kówó jẹ. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì.
And how is the sound? Loud and clear.
Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì.
They want to regulate social media
Tí rúfin o. Mayegun máa wí.
to control access to information,
Òwúrọ̀ olóṣèlú.
keep people in the dark.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì.
You are supposed to be saying everything is fine, not everything is hard.
Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé.
Mo ti dé. So, good morning to you once again. You might need to tune down the volume of your, of your device. I've made some little adjustments to the audio, and I believe it's going to be a little bit louder somehow. Okay. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight from wherever you are watching from. So, if you have read the caption of the broadcast, the description of the broadcast, shared it, and you've also paid your offering, which is liked the broadcast. A big thanks to you. And if you haven't done it, please do. Now, the rider for this broadcast is that Gbaja feels like it is time for them to regulate the social media again. This is them. I told you that the only playbook these rogues have is the playbook they gave to Bokwari. And if you pay attention very well, when they are talking about security, or talking about the economy, or talking about anything at all, go and take a look at when Bokwari and his change bandits were holding sway, at least the first 2 years. So it's not hard for you to see through all their charades, and they have become more hostile to the same bridge they are used in getting to power in Nigeria. Social media is where you have access to undoctored information. You see, if you are the type that sort of only have access on social media, have access to content that are pretty much useless, that's up to you. But when you look at those who are interested in seeking information, verified information, including some of their leaked secrets, including documents as well, such as documents and tapes and calls. So there are places where if you look for them, they are readily available. And when you have them, the ideal thing is to spread them. That unfettered, undoctored information, uncontrolled information is their own downfall. They used it against Goodluck Ebere Jonathan. Let me give you a flashback. Before they decided to go hostile on social media, this was 10 years ago, 2014.
This government is incapable of doing anything. Even if you ask them to eat food, they will not do it competently. They are so incompetent that they speak in ways and manners that really has reduced Nigeria to a laughingstock in the world. Who is APC? Who in APC will arrange the abduction of girls? To what end? To what purpose? They should come out, and if they are the government, if they know anyone, if Nasir El-Rufai is involved, what are they waiting for? Arrest me and prosecute me. But they are all a bunch of liars. They only know how to point fingers at anyone. They don't know how to govern. Instead of sitting down and solving problems, they point fingers at other people. They blame others to divert attention from their incompetence. The primary responsibility of any government is to provide security. They have failed woefully. Instead of focusing on it, they are blaming people. Who is behind the abduction? Who is behind terrorism in APC? You are the government. You have security agencies. You have intelligence agencies. You have the army. You have the police. We have courts. What are you waiting for?
And then
what are they waiting for?
There have also been accusations that you are the party APC, being the biggest opposition party so far in Nigeria, so as we speak right now, is taking advantage or exploring advantage of the fact that there's terrorist crisis in the country, and you're exploring that.
Why should
it score political points?
What is we are in opposition? Are we supposed to let a government that has become so incompetent will be praising them and say that, oh, terrorism is happening, Jonathan is doing nothing, well done Jonathan? Are we supposed to do that? We are in opposition. Our job is to look at even good things that they are doing and say they are not doing it well. That is the job of opposition. So we have no apologies for pointing out to Nigerians that this government is incompetent and has failed to provide security. If you say we are politicizing it, fix the problem so that we can't politicize it. Okay? Are we politicizing breathing of air? Every Nigerian can breathe air. We can't politicize it because there is no problem there. But if you fail to supply petroleum products and we say you are failing, you say we are politicizing it. Fix the problem so that we don't politicize it. If you say that there is terrorism, we are politicizing it, eliminate terrorism. 5 years ago, nobody is talking about terrorism in Nigeria. Under Jonathan, it has become an industry. And we should not take advantage of their failings so that we secure the votes of Nigerians in the next elections. There must be something wrong with them. We have made suggestions to the government on how to improve security. They have ignored it. They have set up 5 different committees that have given them recommendations how to address this problem of terrorism in the last 3 years. They have not implemented one. They are incompetent. But they try to blame other people.
So at this stage that we are right now with terrorism in Nigeria, what do you think is the solution, especially on how to rescue the girls?
Look, the government has the solution to this problem. Several committees have given them recommendations. They should just implement the recommendations in their drawer. Okay? As for rescuing the girls, we have seen examples of what countries do when this situation happens. You should have military action on the one hand and negotiation on the other hand. You should not foreclose anything because the lives of your citizens are at risk and you don't want to lose one life. You don't want to lose the life of one person. You don't want to lose the life of 250 girls. So whatever it takes to rescue those girls should be done. If one of these girls was Jonathan's daughter, the story will be different. The only reason why these girls are still in captivity is because they are not the daughter of any important man in Nigeria, and we know it. And if you say I'm politicizing terrorism, go and rescue the girls so that I don't have a basis to politicize it.
So are you in support of negotiation?
I am in support of every option. When you have lives of your citizens at risk, you should not take any option off the table. You should be flexible. You should listen. You should negotiate and look at the price you have to pay and get those girls out. You should not say you won't do this or you won't do that. This is irresponsible. This government.
That was 10 years ago when APC, Egbekegbe, brought terrorism to Nigeria for the sake of returning power to northern Nigeria. We know all of that. They are no longer secrets. But 10 years after, the terrorism that APC, Egbekegbe, brought to Nigeria, they have kind of expanded it beyond anyone's imagination or expectation. So terrorism is now a biggest industry in Nigeria that gobs billions of dollars and trillions of naira in ransoms, in equipment, in this, in that. But rather than for terrorism to reduce in Nigeria, man, it touched almost everything in that country. So 10 years ago, social media was very powerful. And like El Rufaya said, you see that man you saw in that video, he later became the governor of a state in Nigeria. And under him, a section of his own states, the people there, they were subjected to an endless genocide, state-sponsored genocide, believed to have been sponsored by that daredevil. But like he said, if you have evidence, arrest me. No one has arrested him. Or the system can never arrest him. Because the game is the game. To them, if it takes your life, the game is the game. So people have now, were supposed to have known better now, but these guys are like madmen or like madman. So when you give a madman, it is so easy to give cutlass, machete to a madman. But to collect it back from a madman, blood go flow. Life may even be lost. That's exactly what APC, Egbekegbe, they are two factions that succeeded themselves there. When these strange bedfellows were coming together to rescue Nigeria, social media, where the young people controls, right? They blended with the audience. They started speaking the language of the young people. And by so doing, they managed to blind sight so many of them that they couldn't see that jihadists, kleptomaniacs, treasury looters, human organ traffickers, drug traffickers, They were those coming together to rescue them from Jonathan. By the time they slept over the jubilation that Jonathan was gone and opened their eyes, they discovered that they've handed their destiny to thieves. Now the struggle to make them do it right began, and many lives were lost and are still being lost today. Unfortunately, they have never taken any responsibility. Like 10 years ago, as they said, Jonathan was pointing fingers. They have been shifting the goalpost themselves. And they have been so accustomed to the fact that the failure that you see, they will easily agree with you. Yes, things are bad. Of course, things are worse. Blah, blah, blah. It could have been terrible if not because of us. Can you even believe that? From what you were at in 2015 under corruption, make I give you some little brain recharge before I go further about these rogues. When they were using social media at the time and talking about how corrupt, incompetent Egbere Jonathan was, they had evidence, and in fact, they were indeed convincing. But if you pay attention to those who they were, everything they said would never been touched with the longest pole ever. But they managed to get a little bit of some gullible ones to believe that the man that overthrew the first person to overthrow the first democratically elected government in Nigeria, that same man was going to become somebody who was going to give them human rights, give them infrastructure, stop corruption, defend the country and all of that stuff. And then the thieves like Tifnumbu, drug runners, drug dealers and all of those around him, Atifku, Saraki and the rest of them, they were not looking at them. They were just feeling like, yeah, because Nigeria was so corrupt that Nigeria had $33 billion in foreign reserve. Nigeria was generating over 8,000 megawatts of electricity and distributing over 5,000 megawatts of electricity. And a corrupt Nigeria had the petroleum per liter at 87 naira. Okay, while minimum wage was at 18,000 naira. I mean, take a look at this. So, the Nigerian naira to dollars was 155 naira official and 199 naira. Even make it 200 naira to a dollar. So if you were earning 18,000 naira under corrupt Egbere Jonathan, right, you were practically earning something around about a 200 to 300. What do you call it? About $200. That's how much you are earning in a month. Now, under the same corrupt government that these rogues told you about, Nigeria oil production was at the time, I think it was at 1.3 million barrels a day, okay? With the record that Nigeria was losing over 50,000 barrels of crude oil to thieves, all right? Now, fast forward to the time that the rogues took over. They increased the minimum wage to what? 30,000 naira, while the exchange rate is now what? 1,000. I'm using current one because it is still 30,000 naira your minimum wage. Abi? So today, your minimum wage is unfortunately less than what's that? It's less than $100 today. Nigeria minimum wage is somewhere around $40 under supposed non-corrupt rogues. Now, the debt of Nigeria was put at the time, was put at a 13.5 billion US dollars, okay? While the excess crude account of Nigeria under the thieves, Egbere Jolanthan, was at $7.5 billion. This is where the money they met and the liability they met and the country they met. Now, 8 years after that, Nigerian foreign reserve from $33 billion, no single dime was added to it for 8 solid years. By the time they were done, the Nigerian foreign reserve, 30 billion of that has been used as a collateral for a loan that Nigerians don't even know what they use the money for. Right now, whatever is left in the Nigerian foreign reserve has left Nigeria in negative. That when they want to borrow money, when they want to borrow Nigeria or give money to Nigeria, a loan, they give them at ridiculous interest rates. The excess crude account, where they normally kept excess money from their sale of crude oil, right, has been emptied. Today, the balance in that account is less than $1,000. And I'm not joking. And that's not an exaggeration. Okay? So, from $7.5 billion under these criminals in 8 years, it is completely empty. No dime was added to it in 8 years. Okay? Now, talk about talk about the sale of crude oil as well. That automatically disappeared. Nigerians no longer know how much crude oil they sell, how much money they make from it in the last 9 years. Nobody's asking why they took Nigeria on the road trip to offer borrowing and sorrowing, which further devalued their currency. Electricity generation dropped drastically. Under these rogues in 8 years, Nigeria national grid collapsed 516 times. I'm talking about a whole country, and the electricity generation and whatever shut down 516 times. No single megawatt of electricity was added or distributed under these rogues. Now, people are not really asking. If you are asking why everything is so choked up today, under the thieves, since 1960 of Nigeria independence, right? The Central Bank of Nigeria has printed, from on record, the Central Bank of Nigeria has printed and borrowed the federal government of Nigeria 760 billion naira. Let me explain that to you. By law, okay, when the federal government of Nigeria writes budgets and they have shortcoming, most of their budgets are sort of, put on, budgeted on expecting, income, okay? How much money they will get from tax, how much money they will get from, sale of crude or any other forex and all of that. Or in fact, they even put money they will expect from donor countries. Yeah, those ones that give them donations, okay? They add that to their budget. Now, in that, they will now sort of approach the central bank. So by law, the Central Bank of Nigeria can lend 5%. Listen to that too. 5% of the entire budget to the federal government. And with the moment the federal government begin to get money, the central bank will take that money back. Okay? What that means is that instead of, it's a cheap loan. So instead of the government to go and borrow money to kickstart their budget, the central bank can give them part of the money to kickstart it. Okay? And it must not be more than 5%. Baba, for 60 years, for 57 or 56 years of Nigeria's existence, Nigerian Central Bank has only printed 760 billion naira and loaned to Nigerian federal government in history. In 8 years, under these criminals, right, they printed 27.4 trillion naira cash. 27.4 trillion naira cash. And nobody knows what they did with the money. Honestly speaking, in 8 years, all of this, knowing real investment in the economy or in infrastructure, they went to go and borrow money. Now, this time around, it's not like they gave them the money. They decided to mortgage your future for tens of years by asking places like China to borrow them money to construct railway. Now, China, in their own agreements, will give you the money, But you have to give the job to our engineers as well as, yours too. Now, look at how they are duping you and stealing from you. In case if you have not been paying attention, China will give them money to build the railway. China will bring the engineers to construct the railway. Nigeria will give the local content, which are going to be Nigerians who are going to work with them while they are constructing the railway. China will supply supposedly supply the coaches, the coaches on the tracks. So in that regard, China, to recoup their money, China will now be collecting back the proceeds from that infrastructure for the next 50 years, for the next 40 years. This agreement means China will fund these projects. But do you know something? The same criminals, when you look at their budgets, they will tell you they are carrying out improvements on train modernization. Remember, now alone they won't take build train. But in their budget, they will now put it there that they want to spend $1 billion. It's going to cost them 1 billion. Or if they put it in there, they will say the Ministry of Transportation, 780 billion naira. They will shall put 1 billion money there. Money that is enough to actually construct and complete the same rail project. No. That is the money they will steal. Why China can continue to give them the substandard, because they will choose, they will give them picture. Which one do you want? This one is this how much? This one will cost this. This one will cost that. You know what? Nigerians don't mind. Give us that one. Any of the one. Another person can come and do the other. So we know how to do it. This is how they have been robbing you. Okay? So then the trains are not really delivering. Abi, the constructions are not completed, but the debts have been written and recorded. They must be paid. They ruined Nigeria to the point that in 8 years, ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria was using 97% of Nigeria's revenue from everywhere to to service the debt, not to pay debt, just to service it, to pay fine for late payments. Nigeria crude oil, source of forex, after all sectors have been abandoned, right? The source of forex for Nigeria, crude oil, they turned blind eyes from 50,000 lost to oil thieves every day. Under Egbere Jonathan. Then when it came to the round of these rogues, the oil thefts increased to over 700,000 barrels in a day. Nigeria's oil production dropped drastically, and the entire window for forex supply in Nigeria shut down, and they started looking for elsewhere. Instead of cutting ending the corruption that bled Nigeria to death. If they meant well, by now you should have thousands of people in custody, and all the money they have stolen, whether they store them anywhere or wherever, in banks or wherever, you should have been it should be a bazaar. The money in the hands of these wrong people in the last 8 years would destabilize any government that really want to do the right thing. But Kolu was never voted for. I will keep reminding you. And that's why the illegitimacy they push, the illegitimacy tag on them, and then the horrible policies that have made life hell for you has left them scared. Because the only place where you can easily understand what is really happening, how is it going, is the social media. So at a point, these guys decided to burn the bridge. The same social media, they from the back of social media where they came to power, where their propaganda resonated with the young people who thought these guys were actually coming to change their lives for the better, not for the worse. Now, a lot of people know better today. APC now so scared of the same social media. They were so paranoid at a point that they started making laws. Yeah, social media bill, internet law, hate speech law. All of this to say, before you post anything on social media, you must receive the permission from these rogues who paraded, who protested with the coffins and posters of the sitting president in Nigeria. Egbere Jolantan was president when these rogues staged protest in Nigeria, carrying his coffins. Papa, they stoned Jonathan in Bauchi, a sitting president. Nobody died. Jonathan was a monster, so much of a monster that these rogues, these criminals, these terrorists, they look like angels to these young people. Now they stole 8 years of the lives of these young people. They are now afraid of them using the same social media to enlighten themselves, express themselves of the disappointment, the mistakes they made, and in fact, make effort to correct that mistake, because correcting that mistake means APC must die. And APC dying means everything associated with it must die, and everything of them in history must be burned to ashes. Seriously. You know, you have to cleanse the land and cleanse the land with them. So this is their way, something that Bokwari failed. Papa, I did tell you, sir, that was the time these rogues were jumping fence. You think it's a joke? There was so much like, at a point, right, all you needed to do, it doesn't matter how evil you were or how much evil you've committed against Nigeria. All you needed to do was just to join APC. Papa, Bagbewere, PDP and the rest, they were mixing up together then, and the gullible ones who are today, some of them are dead. Some of them are so poor today that they don't even have any voice to speak and express themselves anymore. Some of them have left Nigeria. They have jackpot. They are now abroad, loving Nigeria from abroad, with the same mindset that chased them out of Nigeria. Do you understand? 8 years of their lives were stolen by these people. Another 8 years of their lives is about to be stolen again. And APC will never allow you to regain back that strength. At a point, they actually suspended Twitter in Nigeria. They wanted a law that will allow them to switch off and switch on the Nigerian internet, just like the same way they switch on and switch off the Nigerian electricity. They actually requested for that. So today, even the Agbadorians they are crying. I have evidence, so just in case if they want to deny. So Gbaja said, the social media has become a societal menace and must be regulated. As many people do not understand that once the send button is hit, there is a potential to reach millions of people around the world, which is capable of causing a great danger, not just in the society, but even unintended consequences to the individuals that are receiving information, which may include security of life. Gbaja was representing Tifnubu at a gathering as usual, and this was supposed to be the message of Tifnubu to the rest of you Nigerians and others. Social media is a menace. The way you talk about your leaders, the way you talk about Nigeria is not good. But do you want me to tell you something, guys? There is no law that will ever satisfy dictators, criminals like this, who are doing everything, okay, to cover their asses. These guys are toast. They are marked. They are targets. And the reason why is because a lot of people who are the victims of their decisions, if they have a chance at them, they will not do them right. They will do them dirty. So there is no amount of law that will be enough from dictators, oppressors. They will continue to make more laws. But because they are lawless themselves, so at the end of the day, it will be like there is actually no law. But let me remind you, Nigeria have law for everything. If they won't send you go jail, say you dey smoke, there is law for it. If they want to send you to jail for stalking, like following people around, and they complain about you, there is law for it. There is law for if you steal government money. There is law for what they say they should do to you. There is law for if you are a kidnapper, kidnapping people against their interest. All laws deal. There is law for sharing false information about somebody. Defamation law dey Nigeria. If you spread false information that causes danger to people, for example, you accuse somebody that he raped you when they didn't, or you accuse somebody of committing a crime as a witness and they didn't, or you accuse somebody of being a thief without evidence. Anything you try to say about somebody to destroy their image, something they didn't do, or if you mention them, they will be seen in bad light in public, and it's going to affect their image, their name, and it's going to cost them a lot. There are laws for that. If you say politician are thief, for example, if I call Tifnumbu thief, and Tifnumbu is not thief, I have to present evidence. He can sue me for defamation. They have law for it in Nigeria. If they find me guilty, I will go to jail. Do you understand? There is, all this thing about regulating social media, hate speech law, all this nonsense, these are their creation of trying to create fear in you. Try to make you feel like if you sneeze when you are not supposed to sneeze and somebody gets upset, you can go to jail for it. Here you get. So they need all of this so that anyone and they know they can't really keep the entire people in prison. All they need is to pick up on few and use them as scapegoats, like Mayegun, for example. That Mayegun called Tifnumbu drug dealer. How dare you? That's a defamation. We're going to jail him. But wait, what if Mayegun's lawyer now decided to use all of the evidence that are in public, in the public record, court documents that showed Tifnumbu's involvement in drug dealing? That case will be finished. The first day in court, that case will be finished. No, don't let us use that. We can just use that hate speech. Now, hate speech is that we know that Mayegun doesn't like Tifnumbu. In fact, we can say Mayegun hates Tifnumbu. He calls him Tifnumbu. And the way he's calling the druggy, the Supreme Court of Nigeria said Tifnumbu is not druggy. So now we can, that they can now find a law, another mock-up nonsense, just to put me in jail. So that they can tell all of you, you see what happened to Mayegun? If you don't watch your mouth, it's going to happen to you. In this country, you must know that there is law. There are laws that, and with the fact that their judiciary is already compromised, they don't even have to stress. But you see, when they start mentioning that they are worried that you are talking, the way you are talking about Nigeria, they are not happy. It's destroying the image of Nigeria. You can show them this video. This was also like 9 years ago, you will say. Honorable National Assembly, where Gbaja was an active participant. They were angry that Egbere Jolantan shut the gate of the National Assembly and it didn't allow them to enter, which was so wrong. That one too was exercising some power because he felt like the whole thing was, the whole house was collapsing on him. And they said they were going to impeach him that day. So they wanted to now play a smart one because the moment Tambua joins joins APC, so that means APC will control the National Assembly. So it controls the House of Representatives. And some people advised Jonathan, don't allow that to happen. We can't allow that. Shut the National Assembly. So they shut the gates, and the thuggery in these rogues came out. And those are the people calling themselves honorable. This was when Gbaja Mole himself jumped fence. If you don't go open the fence, everybody let us jump the fence. We are sitting today. We will show Jonathan and all that, yeah? And this was like when democracy was democracy. Sure you get. This was when they were in the opposition. Democracy was not in danger then. Democracy was in danger then, not now.
Hi, this is Govt.
Because those were people who were trying to save Nigeria democracy. And that was the great thing to, it was great. It was right. Yes. What do you expect them to do? This were like the Nigerians who are now the Lagos Abobakus, the Agbadorians. I want to Shege Bansa finish. Yalokon. That's what somebody just said. Now they are worried about the same social media, and the first time of their worry, and the first person to even solicit for the ban or regulating the social media, the regulation on social media is not to prevent child pornography. Listen to this very well. Me, I will support a regulation of social media. Okay? If the followings are the purpose of regulating social media, I will support that 100%. And I want you to kind of also support that too. Every sensible and reasonable person, human being, will support the regulation on the following. For example, promoting child pornography, where children were being sexually, exploited. I would kind of love jail time for people who promote that on social media. I would love to see those who always do what they call the revenge. What do you call that thing again? Revenge porn or revenge rape, where somebody, because you break up with them, and they will now share your explicit private content in public, like your nude, sharing your nude in public. There are laws, so I would love to see a social media regulation that indeed strengthen that law. I would love to see a social media regulation, right, that punishes anyone and any group that promotes what do you call it, that promotes rape or rape culture. You know what I mean? So I would love to have regulation in those areas. I would love regulations on those who promote get rich quick schemes, all those scams on social media. Track them, jail them. You get what I mean? I would love to see all that regulation, but regulation on free speech in reactions to the failures of the rogues ruining Nigeria. Nah, I will never be up for that. Will you? Will you support that? Of course not. You will never support that too. Regulations are good when they are to protect the vulnerable, the minority. You get what I mean? Protect them from the mob, from bullies, from trolls, and all of that, social media wise, which is pretty much not something they can really do successfully in the real sense of it, but try, make effort. The resources they have that they can use to track those who are exposing the rot in Nigeria, those who are calling out the criminals in government in Nigeria, they have resources to track them, jail them without courts. They have been doing it. Such resources could be channeled into tracking all these criminals, the real ones, and leave us and you